Hi, hope you're all doing well. My name is Gori Yahaya, and I'm the founder and CEO of Upskill Digital. I'm truly disappointed I can't be with you today. I'm really excited to be able to deliver this session called Driving Innovation Skills in a Startup. It's part of the NextRise 2021 conference in Seoul, South Korea. Hopefully, next year we'll be able to do this together. But for now, I'm really excited to bring this to you to help you, as a leader, better understand the skills that you need within your teams to drive continuous innovation across your organization. This is really key. In this day and age, as a business, you have to adapt. You have to adapt, you have to innovate, and you have to understand your customers to be able to grow. And I believe that skills can be harnessed, built, and embedded to help you get there. Who are Upskill Digital? So, we are a learning and empowerment organization. We've been building learning programs for years, helping small business, startups, scale ups, and larger businesses help their employees to adapt to the changes in landscape, changes in industry, changes in tools to be able to help the company grow. We do this by ensuring the teams have the learning that they need through our online learning platform. We have mentoring platforms that drive coaching in a way that is accessible, engaging, and help you really take control of the tools and the software and the skills that you need to be able to grow your business. We believe that people come first. When it comes to transformation and helping a business scale, it's the people you need to invest in to make sure that works. And we're fortunate to work with a number of partners that believe in what we do and help us scale our own training programs too. Now, we're a global organization. We're very fortunate to work with experts across the world that on a local level can deliver sessions that are engaging, exciting, and really get you hands-on with those skills. As a startup, I believe you need the skills to survive and scale. And the experts that we bring to life that help you on your journey bring that creativity, that charisma, that excitement, and that expertise that your teams really need to help you drive innovation within your organization. So, what are we going to look at today? The focus that I want to talk through today sits in three different areas. Firstly, looking at innovation as a key advantage for your business, right? From a competitive landscape, what does that really look like? How can you set yourself apart from the rest? Secondly, if we think about innovation as a skill, what are the core competencies that make that so tangible, right? How can you really develop those and what should we be looking at? And finally, how do you build a culture of innovation in your workplace? Because culture often feels a little less tangible and it's not hard, it's not easy to create. But if you really get to the core of it, I'm sure there's a way that we can help you foster that culture of innovation and help you really scale at the speeds that I know you can. Let's pull it back a second. Why innovation? What's so important about innovation? Look, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm on to my third startup so far. And through my journey, I've often found that the startups that I'm working on are always believing in the products that they sell, right? You, as a startup, undoubtedly will believe that your products are the best in class, best in the market, and they will help you get that sustainable growth over time. Unfortunately, that's not the case for all startups. 95% of startups fail within their first year due to lack of ideas, lack of adaptability, and especially since COVID, since the pandemic, you've really had to innovate to survive, right? The customer needs are changing incredibly quickly, and every startup needs to think about innovation as part of its DNA, and that's incredibly important. So, a lot of organizations, large organizations, are familiar with this concept of sustainable competitive advantage, right? It's been kind of at the forefront of business strategy for many, many years. But when I'm considering what startups need to be able to grow, right? It's not really the goal to have that sustainable competitive advantage. You've got to think about curves, the waves that continuously have new innovations, new products that are game changing the industry, right? As a business, if you think about your unique business opportunity and thought, I can build my walls around this niche, I can sit back and enjoy the profits with this idea because it's timeless and it's just going to keep on delivering the goods. This is dangerously optimistic because different organizations in different sectors are actually entering into your industry, right? They're disrupting your own marketplace. Competition is much more unpredictable than it ever was before. And it's more aggressive, right? Guy Kawasaki, former, Apple chief designer, I think he's the chief designer of Canva. The way he puts it is that you need to jump the curve or even invent the curve. because the more you get to understand how your customers' needs are changing, the more you can stay ahead of it as best as possible. And if we put aside the idea of sustainable competitive advantage and focus on that culture of innovation, the customer experience and innovation, those two things will be the differentiators that will make you stay well ahead of the game, right? And there's lots of benefits to focusing on your customer. Realistically, as their needs evolve, you need to be one step ahead. And I was having a think about the kinds of businesses or inventors or products that have come to life and showed us that this is incredibly important. And I had three in mind. And I thought I'd share with you a couple of my favorites, right? These are some of my favorite pioneers, inventors, innovators, because they took an obsessive approach to the customer, right? And they all have that thing in common. They all try to get ahead of the customer and in some cases really see how they could understand what their needs would be in the future and almost sell it to them, right? Give an example: Henry Ford, Model T, game changing as a car. What he famously said was, if I'd asked customers what they wanted, they would have told me they wanted a faster horse. Instantly thought, I'm not going to listen to what you want, I'm going to give you what you need. Steve Jobs said something very similar. He said, get closer than ever to your customers, so close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves, which is an incredible way to think about it. You're almost thinking, this customer has been used to something for so long and they're seeing minor innovations. Let me give you something that's going to really add value to their lives. And that's why Steve Jobs was so incredible. He was considered a visionary because he had this uncanny ability to understand how devices would add actual value to people's lives, right? Really thinking how they would embed themselves in people's lives as well. The final person, Topia Altona, he is a phenomenal founder. One of the first black unicorns. And he created an organization, a product called Calendly. And he's always stated he's absolutely obsessed with the customer. Jumping in on customer calls, listening to what they want, finding out how their needs are evolving. And it's a scheduling tool, right? But it's $1 billion business because of the way he's approached the customers and continually, aggressively evolved their products as they go. And I want you to think about that evolution. How do we ensure that we can help our teams continuously evolve, continuously innovate, and look at the competencies behind that? Here at Upskill Digital, we believe that everything can be learned, right? Innovation involves a series of competencies, and I'd love to explore them with you. I want you to ask yourself, right, the people in your team, do they have what it takes to continuously innovate? How can you support them with those, what some call the soft skills, right? I call them the critical skills for survival, because in this day and age, things are moving so fast. You need to equip them with those skills and tools to be able to truly drive your innovative products forward. Here are a few of the key behaviors that drive that innovation competency, right? The way I see it, the bedrock of innovation, it's built on competencies, it's built on capabilities, it's built on those capacities, right? Making sure you carve out the time, the space, the knowledge, the attitude to be able to bring new ideas to the table, right? And bring people along, get that diversity of thought. And there are a few of them, a few competencies in here that you have to think, do my team have this? Are they exhibiting these behaviors? Can I support them? Can I run sessions to get them engaged a little bit more? Things like developing useful ideas that are new, better, or unique, right? Trying to think new, right? What can you do that's a little bit different, but that really speaks to the customer's needs? Think about new ways of looking at problems, right? Do they solve problems in a way that challenge each other? Is there a level of sort of healthy competition around challenging in your organization as well? Can they take that creative idea and put it into practice? And that's really, really key. When we're looking at creativity, I always find creativity is contagious. The same way if you smile at someone, typically they'd have this feeling and then to want to smile back. And laughing, right? Creativity, I find, is one of the most contagious things that can help a team truly come together, bond, and help them find a way to deliver a solution in a creative way, right? It has a ripple effect. So I believe when you're looking at the core competencies of your team, can you ensure that you're allowing them to have an environment to thrive, to be creative, to have that freedom to be able to engage with each other, to be able to challenge each other? It's incredibly important. And these competencies are absolutely key. And at Upskill Digital, we deliver a lot of training around how do you foster those skills, harness that mindset, and really drive that level of creative innovation that we know that your teams can. And I look at environment, right? Because environment is so important. When you're building a team, especially as a startup, especially if you're a small team that is growing quickly, you've got to keep in mind, how do I ensure I'm building that culture of innovation? Getting people to feel that they can really come together and get excited by new ideas, new products, new challenges, and solve problems in a way that get them truly engaging with one another and solving the needs of the customer. But it boils down to culture. And the fact is, about culture, it's hard to change. And I think it's because company culture is such a broad concept, right? It's pretty difficult to change when you think about it. Um, but if you're trying to realize that change, it's going to take time and perseverance. Right? Generally, I believe there are two key paths in terms of transforming your culture. There's a top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. On paper, as you can see here, seems simple, right? Typically, companies say, let's go with a top-down approach. Leadership is going to lead the way. We're going to renew our corporate values. We're going to get people excited about what the end goal is. But the end result, unfortunately, is that all the posters you put up, the message you send out about the values, things don't really move ahead the way you need them to. Because it's a narrative, it's a directive, it's coming downwards. But I believe in practice, you need to have culture change from both directions, right? When you're thinking about an innovative culture, an innovation-led culture, both from the top down and from the bottom up, you have to ensure that the purpose and the values need to really match the vision, but the practices that you have available are really there to support driving the company along and doing the hard work to get there. The good thing is that most of us, if we're working in an organization, right, the values don't change often, right? But what you can change is the practices to allow us to align with the values better and help us deliver on our mission and deliver on that vision as easily as possible and continuously innovate on how those practices are really being driven as well. So I'm thinking now about the culture, and I want to give a couple of examples of where you should really be focused on if you're trying to drive that innovative culture within your organization. Firstly, drive relentless curiosity, right? And I cannot state this enough. At Upskill Digital, we stay curious. That's why we love learning, because there is so much to learn, so many questions to ask. And ensuring that you can ask the right questions in the right way will help you get excited about the needs of the customer, will help you challenge yourself on the products that you bring to the table and innovating what may already be out there as well. And I do believe innovation begins with curiosity, right? Learning more about them, but also really understanding what makes them tick. I love this quote from Albert Einstein. It says, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious," right? I think it's interesting. Many organizations have sort of found ways to create that environment of curiosity. Samsung, for example, obviously a large organization, but they have design centers around the world. And they do that to understand local culture, their people, the lifestyles, industry trends. And they foster that environment just to better understand kind of what their customers are excited by. Learn from them on the ground. Airbnb has a really interesting way to learning about their customers. They actually encourage employees to travel and stay with their customers, right? Gain that valuable insight into their real world experience. So how do you engage? How do you help your employees get that hands-on engagement? Yes, surveys would be great. Focus groups are phenomenal, but can you think more creatively about how you get them more hands-on with connecting with the customers as well? The next thing to think about is that freedom to create, right? But I talk about freedom within a framework, and this is an interesting concept. And Netflix do this quite well. They describe their culture as a blend of freedom and responsibility, right? That means these employees have the freedom to be able to think outside of the organization. They give them the freedom to be able to come up with ideas, but they're built within a framework that guides them with regards to how they challenge each other, how they deliver examples, how they solve these problems, and allowing them to still act independently, but really come together and deliver ideas on behalf of the organization as well, right? And that framework is really key. They want people to continuously be learning, drive that curiosity, as we've said before, but it's a freedom with a framework, right? So have a think about how you can do that for your organization. Think about the spaces you can create for them to engage in. Think about how you give them the tools to be able to deliver this as well. Those tools might be very fast mind mapping, brainstorming tools. They may be tools around note taking, the things that they need that can give them the framework to be able to give you, hopefully, wholesome ideas. And one of the final points I find really, really important with regards to building a startup that is truly innovative, that continuously innovates, and also challenges what's out there in the landscape, starts with building a diverse team. We are really passionate about this at Upskill Digital, and we've helped a lot of organizations really look at what diversity means for them and help them build that diverse team that has an inclusive culture around it as well. When you're putting together a team, especially as a startup, it's really easy to end up with people that have all fairly similar thought processes, right? People of the same age, perhaps, from the same type, from the same background. You get this kind of, group think idea, right? They live in this sort of almost an echo chamber because you're getting similar thoughts. Team diversity is so key. The less diverse your team is, the more likely it is you're going to struggle to innovate, right? There won't be a big enough range of insights and think about those demographic differences, those experiences, those expertise to draw on, right? You almost need a bit of those sort of creative tensions between the teams to hopefully harness some of those best ideas. And team diversity really does lend itself to race, sexuality, ethnicity, age, personality. All of these things can help you mix and build what we all like to call that diversity of thought, right? And you should try deliberately working on attracting a diverse pool of candidates, right? The more diverse the pool of candidates, the more you're likely to get more expertise, more experience, a different range of insights as well. And that means truly embracing the diversity of thinking. And we run sessions at Upskill Digital to help you hire more inclusively, right? We talk about educating on building more inclusive spaces and bringing out, the best of people, right? That means allowing people to celebrate their difference, celebrate those values, and helping people truly shine within the workplace. Because I do believe that will drive innovation. You want to communicate diversity across the organization to ensure that people know that you are passionate and excited by it as well. So that's one of the final points I'll leave you on. Here at Upskill Digital, we want to work with organizations, forward-thinking partners that want to invest in their people. And what we try to do is build programs that develop mindsets, give you access and hands-on approaches, practical learning on the tools that you need to be able to drive innovation, such as business model canvassing, learning loops, fast idea generation, thinking hats, value mapping, all the things that would be really helpful for your team and get them hands-on. So we run sessions that get them really hands-on with the tools that they need to be able to drive innovation. And then mastering that skill set, right? The exercises, the activities, collaborating on real world examples, right? Those real work situations that we work with you to create, give them a safe environment to be able to play on, and essentially allow them to truly digest, learn, and help them hopefully grow your organization. I really hope this has been helpful and given you a bit of an idea of what kind of skills, competencies that you need to foster within your team to drive that continuous innovation. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to give you my insights and share with you how you can build more innovative cultures and drive innovation skills within your startup, and also look at building diverse teams as well. Thank you very much and have a great day.